Starting seeds, fertilizing seedlings, and creating healthy plants is always a challenge. In today's episode, we review all these steps for starting seeds and fertilizing seedlings. So the first step in starting seedlings is to choose a good seed starting mix. Now, I've grown seedlings in straight up vermiculite or peat moss, but the best seed starting mix involves creating a mix of either coco coir or peat moss, perlite or vermiculite, and compost mixed in the proportions as you see here. You can add 10% worm castings. If you do not have worm castings, you can always add some additional compost. This creates a perfect seed starting mix that will let your seeds emerge into healthy seedlings. Now, to kill any kind of bacteria or to kill any kind of insects or diseases that have been developing in the soil, what you can do is cover the seedlings with a thin plastic cover or sheet as you see here. Make sure that you use transparent plastic and not opaque. And what we're going to do is just seal this seed starting mix and then leave it out in the sun for a few days. This process is called solarization or solarizing your soil. And what this does is it kills all the insects and diseases that are there in the soil. And when you germinate seeds, it's very important that your seed starting mix is free from any insects or any diseases. Now the next step is to fertilize your seedlings. Seedlings can be fertilized using an organic fertilizer like fish emulsion, or you can use a salt-based fertilizer which is specially formulated for seedlings. Let's look at the first option, which is using something like fish fertilizer, which is an organic fertilizer and is mild enough that it will not burn seedlings, and it has all the nutrients that seedlings need to grow. So all you do is just shake the bottle of the fish fertilizer, make sure everything is mixed in, and then what I do is I add 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. Now this watering can is 2 gallons, so I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of the fish emulsion into this watering can. And once that is done, all I'm going to do is fill it up with water. And this creates a really good medium to fertilize your seedlings. Now the benefit of using fish fertilizer is that it's cheap, it's organic, and it won't burn your plants. The downside is that it smells a lot. So although this is deodorized fish fertilizer, you might not like its smell. Now fish fertilizer is perfect for fertilizing seedlings or even small plants that are growing in the greenhouse. All you do is water the seedlings or the plants inside the greenhouse with this fish emulsion. You can even fertilize seedlings that are growing in containers as you see here. And fish fertilizer also contains a lot of beneficial bacteria. So while you are adding the fish emulsion, there are a gazillion beneficial bacteria that are getting added to your soil, which improves the overall health of your plants. You can even use fish fertilizer in raised beds as you see here. I use this heavily on my okra plants when they were not growing in the summer season, and it did really have a big effect on how these plants grew later. Now you can also use a salt-based fertilizer like this Quick Start salt-based fertilizer, which has nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, just like the fish fertilizer. And what I usually do is I use this at half strength. So all I do is shake the bottle very well, make sure it's mixed in nicely, and then I take half a capful of this fertilizer and add it to my 2 gallons of water. So this is also a very cheap solution. It's just a salt. Generally vegans go with something like a salt-based fertilizer, whereas most of the others go with an organic fertilizer. And as you can see here, we are watering the base of these seedlings. And what this will do is that this will help the seedlings, it will help them uptake this solution and cause them to grow very well. Once they have reached this size, as you see here, once they have developed 2 leaves at least, it will help them uptake this solution. Now you can do the same thing with this fertilizer. You can use it to fertilize seedlings that are growing in containers or the raised beds. And if you're using these hex seed starting kits, you can always water from the bottom. The plants will take up the water very well, and the seedlings will use up the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that's needed for healthy plant development. And that's how you get healthy seedlings from your seeds. So whether you're using an organic fertilizer or a salt-based fertilizer, it's important to remember that fertilizing your seedlings is very important. It's a necessary step for gardening, for developing healthy seedlings, and this is sometimes overlooked by a lot of gardeners. Although the compost provides a lot of nutrients that the seedlings need, it's important that you fertilize your seedlings. Whether you are fertilizing the seedlings in your greenhouse as we saw, or the seedlings in the container or the raised bed, just make sure that you're adding some kind of fertilizer or some kind of nutrients for your plants. By drenching the plant, the foliage, the leaves, the stems, the plants can uptake the nutrients in a much better way, but also make sure that the nutrients are reaching the roots of the plant. So there we have it, folks. That was our episode on starting seeds and fertilizing your seedlings. If you like this video, do give us a thumbs up. And if you have a different method or have any comments, please put them in the comments box below. We'll see you again soon. Happy gardening.